As one of the greatest rock and roll bands of all time, Led Zeppelin's history has been well documented. But no matter how big a fan you might be, there's still probably a lot you may not know about the undisputed gods of 70s rock. By 1969, Led Zeppelin was already blowing audiences away with their explosive and dynamic live performances, and guitarist Jimmy Page wanted to keep record label meddling to a minimum on the band's records. So, he financed their epic self-titled debut album himself. Whereas bands typically received a cash advance to record an LP, Led Zeppelin showed up at Atlantic Records with master tapes in tow, leaving the label no say in the actual artistic process. There were other advantages to self-financing. Because Page planned ahead and knew exactly what he wanted the band to be, recording costs were kept to a minimum. In fact, the whole recording process only took 30 hours. While vacationing in Greece in 1975, Robert Plant and his family were in a car accident. The singer sustained a broken ankle and elbow, which left him in a wheelchair and on crutches for almost 2 years, forcing the band to cancel the remainder of their North American tour. Plant's injuries also hampered the recording process of the group's 7th studio album, Presence. Forced to stand and sing on crutches, the vocalist once even caught his crutch on a studio cable and took a painful tumble. He was taken to the hospital, but luckily his ankle proved to be okay. He was reportedly so stoked at the diagnosis that he wheeled himself right back into the studio. Then he recorded the vocals for the band's masterpiece, Achilles' Last Stand, and wheeled himself out like a boss. Stairway to Heaven is probably the most well-known track in Led Zeppelin's catalog and one of the most famous rock songs ever. So it's shocking to hear that anybody hates it, but apparently you can count Robert Plant, of all people, as one of those who would like to never, ever hear Stairway ever again. Jimmy Page, however, absolutely adored the song, considering it the peak of the band's artistic output. Plant, meanwhile, saw virtually nothing special about it at all, believing it wouldn't be nearly as popular if its lyrics weren't so ambiguous. In 1988, he said, "It was a nice, pleasant, well-meaning, naive little song." He's apparently barely played it at all since Zeppelin's 1980 breakup, saying, "I'd break out in hives if I had to sing Stairway to Heaven in every show."
No stairway. Denied.
Going to California is a gentle ballad about a beautiful, lonely woman. But there's also something about drowning in the god's giant nosebleed. So who knows what Plant was getting at? It turns out he wrote the song to document his love for singer-songwriter Joni Mitchell. The two weren't an item, but he had a massive crush on her and wanted to express it. As he put it, "When you're in love with Joni Mitchell, you've really got to write about it now and again." Plant also had earthquakes on the brain. The other part of the song, about mountains shaking and gods getting punched in the nose, was inspired by the pains of working in California right on a fault line. In fact, when Jimmy Page was mixing the album in Los Angeles, a minor earthquake shook up the studio. Technically, in their native England, Led Zeppelin is a one-hit wonder. That's mainly because they were an album-oriented band that, for the most part, hated releasing singles. At the time, most radio singles were under 3 minutes, and Zeppelin rarely went that short. When Atlantic wanted to release Whole Lotta Love as a single in the United States, many radio stations were very nervous about playing a 6-minute song with a bridge consisting of weird sounds and moans of ecstasy. So the label edited the bridge out, enraging Zepp, who cared about the art remaining intact way more than any calculated business decisions. In response, the band refused to release a UK version of the single, which remained a practice for their entire career and beyond. No Zeppelin songs were released in England as singles until a remastered version of Whole Lotta Love appeared on the Billboard charts in 1997. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more grunge videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.